Hey guys, welcome to the January 29th edition of Reading Through Your Bible Chronologically in 1 Year. My name is Misty. So glad you're here. What we read was Job 35 through 37, which was the last part of Elihu's speech and defense of God in his own way. He's talking a lot about God's sovereignty. So a lot of the things that he says are true, but like we talked about yesterday, he kind of slips in some things that are not true. But I want to go ahead and jump to chapter 36 because I want to point out a couple of things here that jumped off the page at me. And so if we go to verse 36:6, he says, "He does not let the wicked live, but gives justice to the afflicted. He never takes his eyes off of the innocent, and he sets them on thrones with kings and exalts them forever." And then down in verse 11, he says, "If they listen and obey God, they will be blessed with prosperity throughout their lives." And if we look around, we obviously know that that is not true. There are plenty of people who are not sitting on a throne with kings and who don't have, their years are not pleasant, all of them, and they are lovers of Jesus. And so we know that this is not accurate. And so we also need to take a look at our own gospel and our own beliefs about God. And if the gospel that I'm believing can't also be believed by a third world believer, like if my gospel can't apply in Haiti or Cambodia, then my gospel is wrong. And I need to take it back to Jesus and go, okay, so what I think is blessing may not be blessing, and I need to revisit that. Also in verse 36:8, he says, "If they are bound in chains and caught up in a web of trouble, he shows them the reason. He shows them their sins of pride." And I thought, you're looking at these chains, whether they're metaphorical or literal, you're looking at them as a lesson on sin. And I thought, oh my gosh, what if Paul in the New Testament would have done that? What if when he went to prison, he was so focused on what did I do to deserve to be here? And what's wrong with me? Why am I here? He would have missed out on his ministry opportunity there. He looked at chains as ministry opportunity. There were guards who were coming to Jesus left and right just by hanging around with Paul. And so he would have missed out on helping people know Jesus if he would have looked at his chains as punishment. And so I want us to look at what is around us, these unpleasant situations that we're in. Maybe they're discipline, but also is there a ministry opportunity there? Get our focus off of ourselves onto God and what he's doing in that hard time to minister to others. Then moving over to verse 21 of chapter 36, he says, "Be on guard, turn back from evil, for God sent this suffering to keep you from a life of evil." And I thought, no, he didn't. You don't know why God did it, so shh. And I just thought, when we start teaching, we know why God did something, we might be overstepping our abilities there. We don't know why God does some stuff. So we have to be real careful when we're teaching the word, that we're doing it in a way that, we're only teaching what's in the word. That's it. Not God's motivations or things like that, unless that is in the word. And then I loved the speech in 36. There's so much truth in it. He goes, through here and says, he's talking about the rain and the thunder, and God is sovereign over all of that. But, in verse 31, he says that by his mighty acts, he nourishes the people through this storm. So I thought, there's nourishment in it. And then he just kind of goes down in verse 37:7. I loved. Then he's talking about the snow on the fall of the earth and tells the rain to pour down. Then everyone stops working so they can watch his power. And I thought, how many times have I been in the rain like, this sucks? And I need to stop. And I can look around and stop working and watch God's power. So next time we have a lovely rainstorm in Houston, let's look at it as God's power. And then he's just going on with God's power. And then in verse 18, he says, "Can you do this? Or can you do that?" All these things that God can do. Well, obviously, no, Job cannot. And so lots of truth, but some lies, bringing that stuff to God again. And then down at the bottom, he says, "No wonder people everywhere fear him. All who are wise show him reverence." And I thought, you should show him reverence too, by not acting like you know everything about him and letting him be God. And so I thought, I need to pray for that too, that God, show me any blindness that I have, things that I'm teaching, but then being a hypocrite about. Just, God, show me where I'm blind. All right, that's it. So now we get to hear from God. in the next 2 chapters, or the next 38, 40, 41, 42, 4 chapters over the next 5 chapters. I wasn't a math major. So tomorrow is Job 38 and 39, and I will talk to you then. Bye.